For those of you that don't know, there's a special individual that's going to be breaking down the details and giving us some wisdom this morning, and someone who's near and dear to my heart. I remember when I first met him, I was brand new in this business. I mean, brand new. I think I was a position that doesn't exist anymore. It's called executive team trainer. And he was in Los Angeles, and I didn't even know who he was. There was a special event that was taking place with a regional vice president at the time. His name was Jeff Weber. And he said he introduced an individual that he said was extremely powerful. At the time, he was a regional vice president in the company, and he spoke about him as having one of the largest regional vice president organizations in the entire company. Today, this individual has one of the largest senior vice president organizations worldwide. He's helped to be a part of training and mentoring most of the top producers in this company. In fact, when I first met him, I was blown away by how he was able to connect with people in the room, and his energy was infectious. I hope you guys know who I'm talking about. So without any further ado, I want to introduce a person that I met as a legend, but also someone through building the business in this company that became a great friend. So I want to introduce Mr. Top Producing Senior Vice President, Mr. Byron Nelson.
I am in transit, so I'm attempting to navigate, and I should be at my office in less than 5 to 7 minutes, but we could go ahead and get started. All those great words. I mean, I just wanted to be there when you picked up the pen to write that out. I didn't know who you were talking about. I'm like, I just want to get in. But I mean, with all those amazing things, the one thing, if we could start the training off, that I think is one of the most important, and I used to say it all the time, two of the most important tools you could have in this business is understanding authentic edification, which is what you just heard from Julian, and what I can actually give back to him without question. I can talk about, Mr. Lewis until the sun comes up for the next 7 days and not miss a breath, and talking about who he is, the transparency, the integrity, his commitment level, the consistency, especially his being sold out, and so, when you hear people talking, and I know when I first started, I was challenged with it. I was like, why are these people hyping each other up? I was like, what is this, a rah-rah? Okay, I mean, you're really riding this person like, I mean, they're the next coming. But as you get into it and you really sell out on the business and the opportunity and your dreams, you really start to appreciate the love, the genuine, authentic love that a person has for each other, if you will, as I have for Julian Lewis, as I have for Mr. Al Thomas. And these words of really, it's really a setup also. So I hadn't planned on going that route, but in listening to how extraordinary he was and sharing what he was saying about me, I want people to get the lesson behind it. Edification and fear of loss can make you wealthy. Edification and fear of loss by themselves, if a person masters it, can make you wealthy. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to create a system, just like you have to bake a cake. The basics in baking the cake are the same, but whatever frosting you put on it makes it a little bit different. Maybe you add a little cinnamon, it makes it a little bit different. Maybe you do something first that somebody else does second, it makes it a little different. But the ingredients for success are all the same. And so you have to figure out what works for you and duplicate a master baker so that you master the basics. And then you can create whatever you want within that construct, if that makes sense. For me, the mastery of edification and fear of loss, I've watched so many people, master edification. And the reason why this is so important is you may feel like I don't talk well, or I don't have the confidence, or I'm not a great speaker, or I haven't been getting. And some people are arrogant enough to think that they can just keep running into a wall until they die, and bloody their head. It's like, well, I'm doing presentations, I'm talking to people, Well, at some point, you have to realize you aren't getting any results. You might want to try something different. Doesn't mean that the system isn't working. It means that you are not leveraging the system in spaces in which you have not identified your weaknesses. We tell you, yes, there are certain things that come with this, such as the one who wants to make the most money is the person that will have the most presenters on their team. I'm going to say that again. I was going to say the one who does the most presentations. The person, you can't have the most presenters on your team if you have not mastered a presentation. Because nobody's duplicating. Everybody's duplicating you, which means you aren't doing presentations, so nobody else is doing presentations. So it's one of the oldest, tricks of the game in network marketing history, that if you want to make a significant income, an income that's able or allows you to walk away from a trade, an occupation, your own business, the one who is going to make the most money is the one who has the most presenters on their team. And then I have to realize, having a great conversation with myself, right? So we'll just make me third person. Look, Byron, if you want to make a whole lot of money in this business, you're going to have a lot of presenters. Well, it just makes sense, Byron, that if you want a lot of presenters on your team, you aren't going to have one presenter on your team unless you're actually presenting. So if you don't learn how to present, how are you going to teach anybody how to present? And if you don't teach anybody how to present, how are you going to have the most presenters on your team? That's just logical. That just makes sense. But I really don't have a lot of confidence, or I'm really not a great speaker, or I've talked to people that's been ineffective. Well, all that's just self-sabotaging conversations, Byron, based on the fact that there's thousands of presenters in this business. Why don't you just get great at talking good about somebody else? Learn how to make an income. Learn how to make money off of the backs of people who are willing to present. Why don't you plug into every presentation? And not just plug in, but always show up with people. The people that made it, that didn't have confidence, that didn't make money, that knew that they were shy, knew that they were, they weren't versed. The key is understanding that as I'm having this conversation with myself, and I want to have the most amount of presenters, and I want to have the most, I want to generate, first of all, I have to establish, am I running a business or am I running a daycare? Am I here just to learn, or am I here to make money? Am I here for kumbaya and friends, or am I here to make money? Am I here to find other people that I can align myself with the same scarcity mentality or the same issues I've had in life? Or when I hear self-development, does that mean align with people that have the same issues as me so I can relate to them and we can stay suppressed, oppressed, and depressed together? Or am I here to evolve, grow, and build an income? Well, once I establish that, then I need a new skill set. And that skill set I may be scared of, which most people are. Anything new is going to scare you because it's, it's unfamiliar. So it's like, okay, talk to people. Okay, what if I don't have to talk to people? How do I make money if I've been ineffective or I'm not great at talking? Then you need to get great at edification. Get great at talking good, not even good, great. Get great at talking about someone else that is great at talking. Fall in love with that person in a way that when you speak about them, the endearment, the love, the authenticity, which you heard Mr. Lewis talking about in regards to me as I talk about Mr. Thomas, it is so surreal that they're in awe, almost as if, and please don't take it out of context. I'm just giving you a framework. You fell in love with your husband or your wife when that love affair first started, if it was a euphoric state, if it was a notebook relationship, at least in the honeymoon phase, how did you express or how did you describe that person, to the people that would ask you? It's like, so how you doing? Well, I'm in a relationship now, but tell me about it. Man, what do you want me to tell you? You 6'4", or she's, 5'6", or she got brown hair. They're amazing. Yeah, I see this glow over you. Yeah, I've never met anybody like this. And until you have that type of love affair with whoever you choose as a mentor, see, it's kind of like, I look at the business kind of like real life. Not kind of, I do. Look at it like real life. And what I mean by that is we all have some crazy and dysfunctional family members in our bloodline. I think everybody does, right? Now, that being said, I also have people that are in my family that are not of my blood. So as you evolve and become an adult and you become grown and you gain wisdom, you start to understand that your real family sometimes does not have your blood. Does that make sense, Najee? If that's making sense to a few people, right? There's people that I can call on right now that don't have my blood, that might as well have been born by the same mother or same father. And this business is very much similar. You don't have to have come from the lineage, the downline, or the organization that birthed your belief, that births your faith, that births your success, that births your mentorship, that births your rites of passage, or you don't have to do that. You can choose your family. You can go and choose Coalition. You can go and choose Al Thomas. You can go and choose, Cody Mack. You can go choose Leanne Gabriel. You can go choose James Allen. You can go choose Byron Nelson. You can choose your bloodline. You can choose your family. I don't think it's smart to choose 2 and 3 families. Nobody will take you seriously, and nobody will see you as, one of my favorite words these days is called an asset. Right? That's my favorite word, is an asset. Who do you claim as an asset? Right? So I don't look at people as to whether they're in my downline or my organization or my money per se. Now, don't get it twisted. Without having a downline and organization, you'll never make any money. But in regards to seeking knowledge, in regards to seeking business, I look upline as the same way that I look downline. And what I mean by that is I assess my downline as to whether they're worthy of, me working with them, right? We're choosing at this point, obviously, at SVP, have the autonomy of being able to pick and choose who I want to work with. So I only work with 2 or 3 people that not only do I see in them what I'm looking for, but they see in me and give me the room to grow and wiggle and be me with errors, not deifying me, not holding me on a pedestal, but understand my human errors as far as time sometimes, as far as challenges, as far as life. I have a project call that probably I started in the beginning of this month, and out of 3 weeks, I've probably missed 2 in 1 week. I've missed 1 this week. I've moved the time at least 3 times, and working with a challenge and with projects. But the people that I've chosen and have chosen,
because if you're hearing what Mr. Nelson was talking about as far as edification and fear of loss, and building a team, and how important it is to be the example. So when it comes to authentic edification, what I said about Mr. Nelson had nothing to do with making up. You guys know the difference between edify and edify, right? I remember when I first came into this industry. When I first came into this industry, there were so many people that were walking on water, but a lot of those people you could tell was a little bit stretched, and it makes someone feel funny inside, because you can tell that they're constantly speaking, they're constantly talking about them, and it's not real. But when someone is authentic, even when it's simple, even when it's straight to the point and it's authentic, or they bring up a story that they heard about the person, or they bring up something that they connected with that individual that maybe not everyone knows, and they roll it in and it's true, people are excited to hear about that individual. They're excited to hear what they have to say. I remember there was a time that we went to hear from an individual that didn't rarely speak, and the edification. I was so excited to hear from this individual. He flew in from Texas, and he was doing an event in Long Beach, and he's actually in Mr. Byron Nelson's organization, and he became one of the first senior vice presidents in the entire company. And he was talking about how he learned a mindset from running track, and how he was practicing for the Olympics. And I was blown away by this type of individual. I took 10 pages of notes. I'd never heard about that person, but I was scared to death not to take notes based on what I heard about him. But I was also excited to hear based on what was told about this individual. So edification will open people up to receive the information. And we've heard it all the time. If someone has a certain amount of qualifications, but you bring them up as, this is my buddy Jared, they're not going to hear it. See, Jared's already smiling. They're not going to hear Jared. And it's true, but they don't know why. All they know is filtered through the relationship they have with you. You need to be able to create separation in that relationship by talking about what they've been able to accomplish, something personal, something professional. And if you're taking notes, I recommend not just the professional part. See, because the professional part makes people seem like robots. If someone's not real, they're not going to be felt. And I don't know. I know Al Randolph, you'll know what this means. I know a few others. I know T, you're with me in San Diego all the time. You know the difference. We call it when someone's being corny. It's phony. When someone's phony or fake in front of the room, it doesn't matter how good they sound, you don't want to hear it anymore. So you want to talk about what? Who they are as a real person, personal and professional when you edify. And when you can combine those two things, then people are going to understand and feel the realness. And that's what they're going to start with, the first impression. Okay. The next thing is fear of loss. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone knows how important fear of loss is. Let's just talk about something that back in the day, how many of you remember sitcoms? Come on, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? The Cosby Show. Who remembers, whether you were in school or whether you were at work, and you went the next day and everyone's talking about that show and you didn't see it? It was a show, but you had something where it dropped in the pit of your stomach, knowing that everyone's talking about something you didn't see. You know, the next one you made sure to watch. You asked your friend exactly what it was. I remember we used to do that with music. A brand new song would come out and people would record the song so that they could memorize the lyrics before everyone. And if you were the only one at school that didn't know the lyrics, what did you do? You went home and memorized them. Listen, we hate to feel left out. And the fear of loss will do more than people that stand to gain something. See, a lot of times someone realizes they can't pay their bills, or let's say they can't pay for their car. They say they don't have the money to pay their car. But the moment the repo man is at the door, all of a sudden they find the money. Is this true? So know that it's in every aspect of human nature. Fear of loss is so valuable. But when you utilize both of them together, when you tell somebody, if you explain to them that this is only happening today, we only have Mr. Nelson on this Friday. What he's going to talk about this Friday, he hasn't talked about before, right? So this has never happened before, and it's never going to happen again. You can put that in your conversation. This has never happened before, and it'll never happen again. This is an individual that's sought after. He's talked about on stages. He's talked about as a mentor globally. He's been able to connect with some of the highest thought leaders on the planet. He's had the fortune to share wisdom with people that have created organizations that have created movements. And he's going to be doing something special on Friday. And listen, I don't know after this Friday, this month, what he's going to be able to do or when we're going to get him back, because he's so extremely busy. But I do know he will be on this call on Friday morning. And if you miss it, you're going to miss out. Now, are these calls recorded? Absolutely. But if you tell someone they have access every day, all the time, anytime they want to, it loses its impact. See, there's something about being at a show that is special where not everyone gets to be a part of it. It's not just fear of loss. There's something else that combines with that. It's called exclusivity. How many of you understand that even if it's silly, you want to get into something that's exclusive, right? What am I talking about? How many of you have ever been to a nightclub, right? Okay, well, let's really think about a nightclub and the behavior of us at a nightclub. So can we agree that people want to get into the VIP? Why though? I want you to think about what the VIP is. Look at the club. There's one side of the club and it's just in the same room, all right? One side of the club, and then there's another one with a velvet rope. And you're looking at the side with the velvet rope because it's called VIP, and you think it's better than the side that you're on, even though you're breathing the same air. You can hear them on the other side of the velvet rope. You can actually have a conversation. There's nothing really separating you between the other person on the other side of the rope, except for the fact that it's exclusive. People love exclusivity. No one wants something that everyone has, and it's just the way it is. So when you make it exclusive, when you edify, and when you create fear of loss, you will attract people to want to see the business. When you combine those three things, people will filter the information through the feeling they had on those three levels, and they'll be more receptive to the conversation that you have. See, all of that is extremely important, because if you want people to be receptive, I remember my mentor told me a long time ago, no one's ever signed up in the business because they looked down, they saw a 1 through 10 or a 1 through 8 now on the floor. They started reading it and said, where can I sign up? We are creatures of environment. So when you set the tone by exclusivity, you set the tone by edifying, and you set the tone by creating the fear of loss, people are going to be open. The wall drops, the guard drops, and now people are actually listening. But I'm going to give you one more tip. If you're introducing guests to the presentation, have them focus on what they want to see. And here's what I mean. You want to ask them questions about themselves. Form, we already know, family, occupation, recreation, motivation. All of you have heard that before. But a lot of times people don't use it as a tool effectively to create a great presentation. So for instance, if I'm talking to Mr. Nelson, who's on the call, I'm going to pass it back to him. I'm talking to Mr. Nelson, and Mr. Nelson tells me he wants to spend more time with his family. And I said, Mr. Nelson, we have Senior Vice President, Mr. Thomas, that's going to be sharing some information. Do me a huge favor, pay close attention to what he's saying, because I think you're going to see a way to be able to have more time with your family. Now, what is Mr. Nelson looking for? He's looking for clues in the information that he could spend time with his family. And in doing so, he's focused on what he wants out of the opportunity versus poking holes in the opportunity. Does that make sense to everyone? So here's what I want to do. Mr. Nelson, I see that you're back up. I want to pass the call back over to you. I hope everything's good to go.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Yes. Welcome back, sir.
Awesome. So what we were talking about is in that edification and that fear of loss, more so than anything else, being able to specifically, there's 3 pieces here, and each one of them can take an entire day to actually talk about. The first one is understanding edification, fear of loss. Okay, fear of loss is a conversation in itself. I'm actually going to hop back on at 6 p.m. and talk about that, because fear of loss needs to be organic. It's something in which I think people take it out of context. They feel like it's almost a delegation, or if you do this, then this will happen. If you do this, then if you don't do this, then I'm not going to work with you. That's how people interpret. Most people interpret fear of loss. If you don't go to the national, you're going to fail. If you don't go and do this, get qualified, I'll never work with you. That is, you might as well get, that's a unevolved leader. Let me put it like that, right? I'm gonna say that's an unevolved leader talking to you based on the fact that, and I was there, that's why I can tell you I wasn't evolved, because I used to do that a lot, especially in my earlier days of doing this business, of being able to make a mandate, if that makes sense. So I want to talk more about that later this evening. I want to talk about the reasons and the excuses. You don't have a job, that's a reason or an excuse. Choose powerfully. You're a single mom, that's a reason or excuse. You're pregnant, that's a reason or excuse. You know, Alfredo just had a baby, Jen and Angel just had a baby, that's a reason or excuse. We could go down a list of all the things that have blocked you from succeeding. And you need to make, I would make a list of the things that are blocked. This is what I would do. What would you do, Byron? Well, I would actually get a pen and paper. Well, I like Evernote. Okay, then we can use Evernote. We really don't care what you use, a journal, whatever. And I would actually create a ledger of all the things as to why I need to do what I need to do. Does that make sense? All the excuses you have or all the reasons. You can't come up with a solution until you identify the problem. So I'm on a seek and construct mission of identifying what's stopping me. Lack of time, not enough contacts, COVID, scarcity mentality, scarcity not just dealing with money, scarcity dealing with prospects, dealing with resources, dealing with I don't know. Some people are like, you know, I have to make some money. I have to get a job. And then after I get stable in my job, then I'm going to be able to do this because I need stability. You got to figure out how you think. I'm not going to impose the way I think. You got to figure out what works for you. I had 2 jobs and my own business. I wanted to get rid of all of it. I went completely broke. I don't suggest people do that. I went AWOL in this business, like right when I hit RD, which was in less than 120 days. I was like, and I don't suggest that because most people don't have the aptitude and the staying power to be able to do that. You know, it's a drought, you know, it's like, especially when you're still learning the business. And I've had people come and ask me, when do you think I should walk away from my job? I'm never going to tell you that. It's kind of like asking me about marital advice. I'm not going to tell you that. Or being in a relationship, what should I do? Those are decisions you're going to have to make for yourself, because I'm not going to be responsible for giving you information that's going to be your demise. Me, I hated working for somebody, and I would prefer to live in a tent on the street than to work for somebody. So I forced myself into figuring out how to make this work. So that's just me. If, you know, from an early stage, I was like, if anybody is making money in this business, I'm going to figure out from that person or persons, I'm going to find them, hunt them down. I'm going to hog tie them, and I'm going to bleed them dry. And I'm going to be the biggest pest on the planet to the person. But see, as I learned, I had some amazing teachers that made it very clear, don't find me unless you have results. I don't care what your results are. Show me a ledger that you just got 1,000 no's, is what Stuart Todd told me. You know, show me where, you know, that you've recorded 20 of your conversations and pick out the best two. Don't expect me to listen to your raggedy conversation. And, you know, I just take my conversation, tell me how it sounds. Well, how many have you done? Well, this is the first one that I did. That's just stupid. You see what I'm saying? It's like, show me a track record as to why and how I can help you, coach you, where you've actually got on the court as a tennis player and you've done 1,000 serves and you can't get it in the box. So I can look and tell you, you aren't bending your knees. So I can look and tell you that you aren't following through with the racket. You know, a person doesn't sit up there and go, oh, I failed like 1,000 times. I just don't know if I could do this. When you want Wimbledon, they're like, I will stay out here. I played tennis and should have gone pro had I not fractured my 5th metatarsal bone. I loved it. Agassi, Tracy Austin came out of my high school. I played around some of the greatest players of all time. Arthur Ashe was my coach when I was a child. That's how much I was into tennis. So between tennis and basketball, I make a lot of metaphors and examples. And I'll never forget, even when I was playing basketball and like half of my friends went pro, which is how come I had so many, why I went into entertainment. I had relationships with people that were pro athletes. But when I played basketball or tennis, I can remember on both accounts, my parents had to come and drag me off the court. If you know anybody that plays ball, especially basketball, they're there until the sun comes, there until they can't see, till they turn off the lights in the street. They walk around. If you see a child that's totally lost into ball, I went nowhere without my basketball. I had my sneakers and my balls everywhere I went. Any court whether I was in New York, Chicago, wherever I went, I was looking for a court. I was looking for a game. And I took that appetite and that attitude and have applied it to everything in my life. Anytime I get a chance to talk to somebody about my opportunity, it's done. It's a wrap. I don't care if it's the valet. I don't care if it's the person, parking my car. I don't care if it's the person that's serving me my food. I don't care if the person is checking me in at the hotel. I don't care if it's the person that's picking up my cleaners. I don't care if the person is washing my clothes. I don't care if the person at the laundromat. I don't care if it's the person getting out of a Bentley. I don't care if it's the person that's sitting up there trying to sell me a house. I don't care if it's the person doing the appraisal on my property. I don't care if you're getting in I'm using every chance to get out on the court to be able to practice my skill set and be better at what I'm doing and learn how to be able to communicate. And that's the only, I don't understand any other mentality for winning in life, in overcoming health issues, in overcoming financial issues, in overcoming relationship issues. You get on the court. It's like, I really have taken on, I have it up here, The Godfather. I have a complete beautiful picture of The Godfather that was made for me. And because that's how they saw me. And I'm just like, I want bad news first. Don't just bring me, I want the bad news. I want it out the way. I don't want it in my space. I don't want it holding rent. I have some good news. I have some bad news. Which would you like first? The bad news, stupid. Because I need that handled. Whatever we need to handle, we need to get it handled today. And it takes on a now mentality. And that's the next piece to this, outside of fear of loss and edification, that I would have is the now mentality. And I can actually go so deep, and I'm such an artist at this point with taking a person RD in 90 days. I believe I can take a person RD in 30 days. The problem is the person who's saying they're ready to go in 90 days. I said, this is the month. So I look at when somebody says, I'm ready to go in 90, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to break this thing in half. Well, let me ask you a question. Were you on this call 5 minutes early? Have you gotten a recording of every call of whoever you took on as a mentor? Were you on the call yesterday? The day before that? The day before that? It's 5 days. Julian just gave you a schedule. I have a schedule. I do calls every day. If you let's say somebody missed one, it's like, can I just have 5 minutes? Like if I miss a call, like I think I missed a call yesterday. Did I miss a call yesterday, Alicia? Yesterday, right? If I miss a call, Alicia will call and say, I know you missed a call, Mr. Nelson. I don't want to be in a position. Can I get 5 minutes with you? Because she knows that's her call. She wants to make up for that call. She's never one day said, can I not can I get the recording, not this, that, and the other. It's like, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I need to execute. You can tell when somebody's locked in on, I need to get something done versus involved. You can tell when the student wants to get an A for themselves versus trying to impress the teacher. You can just tell. There's no right or wrong in that. It's just, this is how I identify my projects. And that type of student that does it with humility, you don't want to give them 5 minutes. You're like, God, okay, I need to give them another hour later on. We need to figure this out. I mean, this person, because they're hungry, they aren't doing it for me. They aren't sitting up there trying to feel like they let me down. They're like, okay, I need this. I got to get this done. So when you get to that point of understanding why I shared the 90-day or the 120-day, how people say they want it, but you watch their actions. I keep saying it so over and over and over again. Hopefully, by the time this term ends and this year ends, if I reach 7 people, I've done my job. Your actions speak so loud, I can't hear anything you're saying. Your actions speak so loud, I never hear a word that you're saying. But I make the space available for people to show up for when they're ready, and it kicks in and it clicks in and it clicks in. Every challenge that you have in your life is a reason for you to go AWOL and win in this business. Unless you're burying somebody today, which I probably will, or giving birth, as I have 2 people are on the brink of doing that. If that's not happening, which is only a day, a minute, there's people that are on this call saying, I was getting somebody qualified. I'm not on the call because I'm launching somebody. I'm not on the call because I'm talking to a prospect. But last month, you didn't even make $1,000. Why would that be your excuse for not plugging in? You're missing something in the training. That's just not smart. I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson, I missed your call because of why? But then you're going to call me and then ask me for information that you missed on the call and take me away from my life and my responsibilities and my obligations. And you call that fair? Get the hell out of here. Really? You got all these SVPs and RVPs online where the sugar is on the cover. You're like, where's the sugar? I'm giving birth to a child. I'm that doctor, that OBYN, and you're calling me out of surgery to ask me where the sugar is in the closet. It's a metaphor. There's all these other RVPs and SVPs that can answer your question as to where the sugar is in the cabinet, but you want to stop me for something basic. Call me when you have an SVP mentality and you have an SVP ready to go SVP, and you called me, you're like, hey, you know what? I just got him 20 points. Mr. Nelson, I have another question. After that question, yes, they just went ETL. After that question, yes, they just put 5 people in business. After that question, call me after that. Every time you call me, there's something that happens. Not I'm a walking Britannica and you just want to call me because I'm the resource of information. Did that make sense? This is going somewhere. Let's not talk about 90 or 120 days of what you should be doing. Today is the 23rd. I want you to, and you can put this in your notes, I need to learn how to have small wins. Stop looking for the Big Bang Theory. I need to have small wins. I want to reframe, and I hope if one of you get this, it'll be a beautiful thing. I want you to reframe your brain and act as if May 1st is January 1st, New Year's Eve, and all your resolutions have to come into play. You're literally going RD in 7 days. In 7 days, you're going RD. And you need just one. What is the count? How much is an ETL worth? Tosh, how much is an ETL worth point wise? How many points is an ETL? 70? 80 points? 30 points? 30 points. I don't know. I think I hit ETL already, so I don't know. Y'all gonna forgive me. So since I already hit it, I don't know what it is today. It's 30 points. I need 30 points to go RD. Now, this is, you got to know your own brain. Because when I started, I already knew I was finishing SVP. So I was like, whatever is like, that's the finish line. So every time I got a win, it was like, I just hit SVP. But if your brain is scared of that and it's like, one day I'm gonna be an SVP, you don't have a specific date written down for you to be an SVP. You are not clear that you're gonna finish SVP. Maybe you are not clear that you're gonna finish RVP. Maybe you don't believe you can finish RVP this year. I don't know what your belief system is. I encourage you to expand your belief system, but I have no control over that. That's all you. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me on that? So the minimum you should be seeing is RD. So choose however big your vision and your belief system is for where you're going in your journey. I mean, I'm talking about like the pre-med student that's in their freshman year in undergrad. They know I'm a neurologist. I almost married this woman that is one of the best in the world too. But she knew in her undergrad years that she was a neurologist. She was obese, but it was her thinking. It's like, you could ask her freshman year, her sophomore year, her junior year, her senior year, when she graduated, when she went to med school, her first year, her second year, her third year, her intern. It's a 12-year process to become a neurologist. And she knew going into university, her first year. So, what is it that, what are you going to school for? I mean, what are you going to be? No, that's not what I'm going to be. I'm a neurologist. By their junior year. And you got to understand the power of this conversation. Most people that go to university, why it's now a 5-year university, is because over 65% of students are undeclared as far as their major all the way up until their junior year. They have no idea who they want to be or what they're going to become. 65% have no clue what they want to be until their junior year, and they're still indecisive. But a person like my sister who knew she was going to be an attorney, or my first girlfriend that was like in 7th grade, I'll never forget this conversation. Her name is Leslie Sykes. You could look up her name. I'll never forget our conversation. It was me, Nikki, Leslie, and Steven on some stairs in 7th grade. There's just certain moments in your life that you don't forget. I was having a conversation with a young lady yesterday. She remembers something at the age of 3. Leslie Sykes, we were sitting there talking about what we were going to be when we grow up. She said, and it's one of those weird cavities of journeys. And she said, I'm going to be an anchor, a national anchor for a television show. 7th grade. I'll never forget it. I've known her since I was in kindergarten. Had a crush on her. Everybody has those crushes. Had a crush on her all through like elementary school, all the way through junior high, high school. And I was shy as all heaven back then. And then she married some bozo. But anyway, that's another story. But the bottom line is, even today, she's more gorgeous than anyone from 8 to 80, if you go and look her up. And so she literally, and we're very good friends now, but she had, in 7th grade, we finished, I left, I went to boarding school, came back. We ended up, it was crazy how God aligned certain people in your life. I knew her, we were at sister schools in preschool or kindergarten. We ended up elementary school apart, but we had sister brother schools. Junior high, we were in the same school. I left, I went to boarding school. We went back to college. I went to Morehouse, she went to Spelman. So we kept crossing. It's one of those really weird dynamics of someone who comes in and out that forged a lifetime relationship. And in 7th grade, she said that, but then she left when she graduated. She went on, and I never saw her for like at least 5 or 6 years. She had been to Minnesota, she had been to Florida, she had been down to like Wyoming. She was like in weird places. She actually majored in broadcasting, and then in turn, she ended up becoming head of journalism for one paper, and then she got back into journalism. Long story short, she is now the anchor in Los Angeles, literally one of the 3 biggest markets in all of the nation for ABC, I believe it's an ABC, for Channel 7. She is the anchor for the entire station. And we had, and it mentally messes me up that we had the conversation in 7th grade. Now, I say that to say, when I signed my papers to become an SVP in this business, I was like, I don't know, even then, when I didn't know how, and I say that all the time, 90%, most people that succeed, 90% of the people, I'll say of all the people that succeed, the top 10% have no idea how they're going to succeed. 90% want the how-to. Like something resonates in your head when I said you can go RD in 90 to 120 days. Well, I want that information. Why? Now I'm going somewhere with this. Why do you want that information? Because you haven't mastered the small wins. I'm gonna bring this full circle. Anybody that's ever listened to me speak knows I always finish where I start. So you don't get lost in the rabbit hole. You gotta pay attention. You gotta stick with the rabbit hole, okay? Now, in that conversation, as we go through this rabbit hole, the small win is the next 7 days. Have you learned how to break an ETL in 7 days? Have you learned how to go ETL in 7 days? See, me going SVP would be me learning how to help or go ETL in 7 days. You haven't challenged yourself on that front yet. And those that have not done it consistently long enough to create the habit and the muscle to know how to do it unconsciously. Is anybody understanding this conversation? So this isn't a beat up conversation, because hopefully this is a wake up. This is some amazing coffee. If you drink it slow, it's straight out of the Caribs. So I'm telling you, like, for example, my baby Alicia has broken an ETL in under 7 days. Joel has broken an ETL in 7 days. My leaders know how to break an ETL in 7 days. Tosh has broken an ETL in 7 days, but you haven't made it a habit. Because in the human error in this is that you're buying into the human emotion of another human being. Once you can sever the human emotion of another human being and focus on your goal, then you'll create a habit. Then you'll start to understand that we have May, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's 7 months. What if you made it a goal? Like you went out and over the next 7 days, you broke an ETL. Okay, it took you 10 days. Are you upset? It took you another 15 days. What? Your first one took you 3 weeks. Who freaking cares? But do you know how great you would feel inside if it took you 3 weeks and then 2 weeks and then 1 week and you totally focused specifically on measurable, actionable goals? And your only goal was not how to open up a bakery, but how to bake this just one cake. And and you bake one more cake, and you bake one more cake, and you bake one more cake, and you do it more effectively and more efficiently, and get out of your head and stop overthinking it. Stop thinking about, oh, I got it. Oh my God, where are we going to open up the storefront? Well, where are we going to get the supplies? Well, who's going to man the front desk? I got to make a list. Okay, I need all this information. I need to plug into another training. I need to understand, well, how do we do the taxes? I've never ran a business. Okay, so how many employees do we need? Well, how much flour do I need? Can you just bake one freaking cake? And then bake another cake and bake another cake. So I'm going to take the last of this. I want you to see this because I'm so proud of my Renata because she's finally learning how to bake cakes. Now, this is a platinum RVP. She's been #1 for the past 6 years in customer acquisition. So she's mastered the distribution of the cakes. But to learn how to bake a cake, that's another thing. See, that's the development of a human being. That's identifying champions and creating success out of those champions in record time. And so for those that were on the RD or the SVP call, RVP, SVP call, unless they're all separate, I have no idea, then you may have heard this. So I want to play this real quick. There's 2 things I want to play before I finish today, but this is the first one. So it's 6 minutes. Pay close attention to the cake. In this case, as Tosh just said, 30 points. 30 points? 30 points. 30 points for an ETO. 30 points. 30 freaking points. And 98% of you have not baked a cake, but you on this call. 30 points is a cake. And damn near a third of the customers these days are anywhere between 6 and 10 points. Really? Come on, y'all. It's just a cake. Get serious about your business. One cake. Why don't you make a goal of baking a cake before May 1st? Just one cake. You ain't got to worry about the 90 days, the 120 days, the what's going to happen this year. I'm going superstar. I'm going to be this. I'm going to do that. I'm ready. Okay, I need to go and prospect 10 people a day. I need to go and I need to do presentations. Can you just bake one cake? Right? Mastering the 8-point service. Thank you, Jocelyn. Mrs. Driscoll just hit it right there. Just one freaking cake. I love you, by the way. I miss you. We need to talk. I'm sorry. That was personal. But one cake. My baby sister just said one cake. She's my baby big sister. But anyway, watch this. Watch this here.
You're excited. I know that you have a lot going on as well. Let everybody know what you did to become an regional director in your first 180 days.
Thank you, Mr. Provenzano, for having me on the call. Just to introduce myself, my name is Avrami Weinberger. I live in Lakewood, New Jersey. I don't know if any of you have heard of that, but it's a small little town in Jersey. I manage about 2,500 units across the country. I travel a lot. I have a lot of crews, a lot of teams too that I take care of. I have 4 kids of my own and a wife, so things are pretty busy. And it's just a shame that I didn't know about ACN, before I was introduced to it, because it's awesome. It's a game changer. It's a life changer for me. And so I was introduced to this again 5 months ago. I'm hustling, I'm running. Like you see, I'm in my car. I just jumped outside my office, and this is really what I do. You know, right away, I was pretty confused, but it sounded exciting, and I've been excited ever since. You know, I made myself coachable, and thankfully, you know, with the leaders that I was, you know, exposed to, Isaac Grossman, you know, who's my close mentor and leader, who introduced me to Renata and Boris, who are obviously very, very prestigious in the company, Circle of Champions members. And I got the privilege to be able to have a close relationship with them. So, you know, to be able to work with them and to do this business, and it's just exploding. So it's very, very exciting. I'm having a lot of fun, and you know, to be able to grow my team now and reach regional director in 5 months, and you know, try to duplicate that in my team. You know, I took the role as a leader, and I'm building my team now, and I hope that, you know, I hope we could duplicate this 10 times over.
Nice.
Actually,
let me ask you a question, buddy. One of the things that I'm always curious about is that, you know, first of all, everybody on this line knows that it takes sacrifice in order to do anything significant with your life. And typically, when I hear somebody that's extremely busy with their career, such as yourself and some of the other regional directors that already spoke, tell me what it's like at this stage of the game for you regarding, I'm going to call it a juggle, because that's really what it is. It's a juggling of your time, you know, and a reprioritization of your time and what you want to get done on a daily basis. What does that look like for you right now?
Yeah, so obviously it's juggling time, which is, you know, which is what I do altogether. You know, 4 kids, not a lot of sleep, not a lot of downtime, but in terms of work as well, you know. So, you know, I'm an organized person. I have teams. I have, you know, about 100, you know, people working out in the field and different, you know, on all the properties that I'm managing, and I'm, you know, giving them direction. But with ACN, you know, it's really just about, you know, ACN is incredible that they take care of everything for you. Everything is taken care of, the whole back end, you know, which is unheard of. So I just have to focus on 2 things: getting customers and you know, piquing people's interest and acquiring business partners.
Yeah.
And that's all I do. So obviously I'm traveling a lot. If I get in the car, you know, if I'm jumping and I'm driving 10 minutes, you know, while I get home, I have 3 phone calls I need to make, and I know that. You know, if I have 10, 20 minutes and I know there's a training going on, I jump into my car and I hop on the training. So that's really what it's about. You know, if you stay focused on what you need to do, and you have your contact list, and you just, you know, you have 10, 20 minutes, that's all, you know, that's all it takes. You make 2, 3 phone calls, and you know, that's all it is. It's simple. And but I'm not done. Let me tell you, I'm not done. You know, you'll be hearing from me. I'm just getting started with RD. So I look forward. Thank you again, you know, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kupitz, and Mr. Provenzano. It's a privilege to be able to talk here in front of everybody.
Hey, you're welcome.
And looking forward to the RVP promotion really soon.
You're welcome. You know, one of the things that you said was that ACN does all the back end stuff, and it's just a reminder to me, and even to this day, after 28 years, it blows me away, honestly, that we can provide a platform such as what we all have been blessed to be able to utilize. And you're right, everything is taken care of for $25 a month. Now, anybody on this line that is a business person that has ever done anything entrepreneurial, for $25 a month, you can't get a cup of coffee every day for $25 a month, let alone have everything taken. All that you have to do is build a business, acquire customers, build a team, pour into people's lives, and you have the potential to get wealthy. Is that okay for everybody? For $25 a month, it's a joke when you really think about it. You can't have a gym membership for $25 a month today. It's amazing to me what we've been able to do. But you know, that's the power of leverage with thousands upon thousands of people, that we've been able to put something like this together, and we're all blessed enough just to participate in it. It's just a very, very exciting time that we're in, being a part of this company. And you all that have just gotten promoted to regional director, you are doing a great job, and you're going to have the greatest rewards going forward as ACN continues to grow and expand and do the things that we're going to do. And as you continue to grow in your leadership roles, you can only imagine what your lives are going to be like over the next 3 to 5 years. Congratulations to all of you. Very proud of you. You're excited. I know that you have a lot going on as well.
I have, and my goal in doing this is that it stirs your soul. Not to beat you up for what you haven't done or what you need to do, but that you push reset, that you learn how to push reset, and you learn how to push reset, and you learn how to push reset. And you bake another cake and it fails, and you bake another cake and it fails until you figure out how to bake a cake. It's me being on that basketball court, and it's you know, I look at metaphorically, you look at someone like LeBron, who's going to get paid $140 million, and somebody else who's going to get paid the minimum this year of $1 million. There's a reason why. They're playing on the same basketball court. They're playing on the same court. They have on the same jersey, or they have on opposite jerseys, but one gets paid $140 million and one gets paid $1 million. One invests $3 million in his body. Another one goes out there and just hopes that he can play for, off of talent. And then he's out of the league in 4 years. One is playing into his 16th year. And in the last 10 years, he's never missed a championship game. Out of 10 years, 1 year that he got hurt, which was just a pulling of the groin. It wasn't a broken leg or an Achilles heel or an Achilles tear where everybody else is out for months at a time. It was just a pulled groin. Out of 10 years, he's never missed the championship. Does that mentally mess anybody else up besides me? Like, never. Not like, well, who's going to make it? And you got all this dialogue and all these narratives and all these people. You got all these podcasts. You got all these TV shows. Everybody talking about who's going to go to the top. Do you think he's even thinking about what anybody else has to say? I've never missed. I've taken the worst teams. I've taken it with superstars. I've taken it with scrubs. I've taken it. I am the leader that people want to follow. I am that Robert Allen. I am that person that wrote the book, No Money Down. I coined that book. I coined the phrase, no money down in real estate. For those that know anything about real estate, he wrote the book in the 70s, late 70s. He wrote the book, No Money Down. He proved it. And every person in business has duplicated his success. He goes into a city. He takes a person out of the welfare line. And he says, I'll show you that I can take a person with bad credit and no money, how to buy a house with no money down. He's like, I don't care what you put up against me. I have mastered this because I have put in the time and the effort and the energy and the expertise and the mastery. I'm not special. I just outwork everybody to understand the systems of what allows a person to win. That's all this is. I have a specific goal. That's it. It doesn't matter what industry you choose. The person that's going to succeed just outworks everybody else with specific goals, masteries, and duplication. So what's one of my best pieces, I had a guy who I worked with who went SVP in another company that I trained. And he took it, and I was actually, when ClickFunnels first started and this, that, and the other, anybody knows I'm really big on acronyms. Anybody that's been around me for any period of time, I'll take a word, rip it apart, and then apply it to my life. Belinda knows, and Alicia, anybody that's been around me. And he took it, and we actually created something out of what we call SMART goals. And this was all the way back 7 years ago. And it's probably one of my best pieces that I never even shared with my team. And it has over 1 million views that I actually took an acronym, broke it down in a training 2 years before, and then he created it. And my team that I'm working with as far as my projects knows, I'm right now, my heart, my beating of a horse is about goals. That's been my conversation all week with my projects. So I want to share this. It's very short. It's literally 4 minutes long. You might want to take notes. It will mentally mess you up for the rest of your life. And it actually stuns me that my work ended up with that many views. And it was done in less than 4 minutes. So I'm gonna share it with you. So here, I'm gonna put this up real quick. This is the last piece to this.
Regardless if it is professional or personal, we all struggle sometimes to achieve our goals. Many times our struggle is not because of a lack of effort, but rather how our goals have been structured. Anytime you set a goal, or if you find yourself struggling while working towards a goal, keep in mind the word SMART. SMART is an acronym that can be used to help evaluate and add structure to your goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART begins with asking yourself the degree to which a goal is specific. This is arguably the most important part of establishing or evaluating a goal. The less specific a goal, the more difficult it is to determine how long the goal should take to complete or how to measure success. Consider the difference between a goal to get healthy versus the goal to lose weight versus the goal to lose 10 pounds. The goal to get healthy is much less specific than a goal to lose 10 pounds. The next question to ask, how is the goal measured? What determines success? Some goals may be best measured by a simple yes or no, such as the goal of climbing to the top of a mountain, while other goals are better measured by using metrics such as the goal to lose 10 pounds. The key to measurement is making sure that in whatever way the goal is measured, it accurately reflects success. For instance, if you do not have access to a scale, then measuring weight loss will be difficult and less accurate. An alternative measure may be to track how many inches you have lost around the waist. But to what extent does this accurately reflect the goal? Without access to a reliable way of measuring weight, we may want to consider buying a scale or restructuring our goal. Actionable is not asking yes or no, but how will the goal be achieved? What is our action plan? Do we have the resources and capabilities required to achieve success? If not, what are we lacking? Well-designed goals provide clarity of action. If the actions required to achieve a goal are unclear, or there are a large number of actions that need to be taken, we should consider breaking down the main goal into manageable, actionable sub-goals. In isolation, any single goal is relevant, but in life we most often are in the process of pursuing multiple goals. A common issue we face is having too many goals at the same time or pursuing the wrong goals. With this in mind, we need a mechanism to help us monitor our goals to make sure we are pursuing our most relevant goals at any given moment in time. One technique is to place goals in a matrix that looks at effort required versus perceived value of achieving the goal. Not always, but most of the time we will want to focus our energy on low-effort, high-value goals. Another technique is to use the Pareto Principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. Ask, which are the 20% of goals that will provide me with 80% of my return? The last thing we want to make sure is that goals are time-bound. By including a specific date by which a goal should be accomplished, it helps provide incentive and allows us to monitor progress. Consider the difference between the goal to lose 10 pounds and the goal to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Simply by including an element of time, we can now calculate how much we should be losing each week, and if after 5 weeks we have only lost 1 pound, we can revisit our action plan. Be wary of any goal that is open-ended, such as the common goal to learn a foreign language. Last, it is important to reinforce that goal setting is not an event. It is an ongoing process of action, evaluation, and revision. It is not about lowering goals or standards to ensure success. It is about recognizing goals are dynamic because life is dynamic. We do not live in a static world. Life happens. A goal that is relevant today may be irrelevant tomorrow. When using SMART, stay flexible and motivated by setting aside time to reevaluate your goals on a regular basis.
It's that simple. That was a complete 2-day seminar in 4 minutes. That was a 2-day seminar I did that was consolidated into 4 minutes. And that whole weekend was on goal setting. So that's about it, as Earl Nightingale would say. We have to have smart, effective, efficient goals. And if I were to take one on walking out of this portal today, it would be learn how to bake one cake in 7 days, and bake another cake in 7 days, and another cake in 7 days. And you'll be amazed how many people out of that will want to duplicate baking cakes. It may take you 5, it may take you 3, it may take you 20. But one of those cakes is going to end up, you only need 3 to go RD. You only need 5 to go, or 4 to go RVP. Not even that anymore. It's just points. You do need 6 master chefs to go SVP. But by the time you randomly just finish just baking cakes and having people come in to help you bake cakes with smart goals, then we can open up a bakery for you. And everyone around the world is going to stand in line like Cane's getting sugar, or like, trying to get some Krispy Kreme donuts. As soon as they open up in your backyard, there's going to be a line of people trying to get into your store, because you learn how to bake one cake. You learn how to make one donut. You learn how to make chicken with a specific sauce. And it's going to be so simple. And people are going to be like, this is all that's in here. You have no idea the system that's put in place to create something so simple, so powerful, so tasteful, so beautiful, so amazing. And everybody's standing in awe like, how did you do that? It's like, I just baked more cakes than you. There's not one leader that will tell you they got to success of any level of success, including the video you just saw before this one. He's just baking cakes. He's totally focusing on every day, every minute of the hour of the source of information I gave you last Friday. For those who are definitely on happy hour, we become what we think about most of the time.